Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmasi Mimorosi Rusbachot. Lili Nishmasi Mimorosi Rusbas Mordechai. It's the middle of the I don't know what. Friday morning. Be'ezer Hashem. Today I'm giving this year and another 2 shiurim. Hopefully, can make it in the afternoon. 2 o'clock Hebrew Daf Lamed Ches. 3 o'clock Hebrew Daf Lamed Zayin. Rabbi say, what a trip, what a trip. It was not a pashta trip for me. I might have paid with blood, but it was very, very inspiring. It was unbelievable. First of all, the stories that I heard in the trip, story after story. One of the stories that I like to tell a lot of people, a guy came, I took a picture of him. I don't think I should show his picture. Chassidish guy, beard up to here. He said he hasn't worn tefillin in 8 years. 8 years. Somebody introduced him this year. And he said the exact same thing. I'll show you a video of another guy that said it, another chassid. He said, I started doing the daf, and then I realized, wait a minute, I'm going to do the daf, and I'm not going to wear tefillin. So he started wearing tefillin. Then he said, I wear tefillin, I'm not going to say birkas HaTorah. Kitzer, one thing led to, now he's davening b'minyan, and he is learning every day. And he said, then he came over to me the second night. I said, and by the way, I'm also now watching as many movies as I used to watch. Givaldi. Rabbi Sai, we went to raise $1 million, and we reached our goal. We're at the campaign is still going now. We're trying to get to 1.2. Be'ezer Hashem will get there. Just the amount of people that were mitzdaref, that went out of their comfort zone. So many people. I'll show you, I think it's close to 6,000 people donated money. 59 something, 100 people donated money. And if you look right now, it's still coming in. Every minute, another person, another 100, a guy you just gave $1,000, it just keeps coming in. It's unbelievable. At the same time, I was thinking to myself, 6,000 people donated. What happened to the 14,000 other people that watched the shiur? That's interesting. And if, what? And if every single person just gave $100, we wouldn't have to go to America. And you don't even have to give $100 if you can't afford it. A guy gave. Listen to this. A guy wrote to me, "Thank you for changing my life, and thank you for changing my family's life." And he gave $5. And I met him in Motzei. He said, "Look, I lost my job." I said, "Okay, doesn't matter. Everybody, give a little bit. Machzah shekel, something." Interesting. I want to share with you a few stories, very interesting stories that happened there. This individual told me over his story. There's another individual that was standing behind him that has given us that evening $25,000. When this story was over, I'm going to tell you what happened. Listen to this. Interesting story.
Hi, my name is Zev Kohler. I've been with the shiur since Ksuvas Daf Beis, and the story behind it is my shana bet in Israel. We did Ksuvas, and I poured my heart and soul into that masechta. I had all my notes and my sweat and tears, and I would always go back to that masechta when I would be having a hard time with learning because it was familiar. And a year after college, I lost my Gemara, and it really hurt my learning moving forward. I left it on a plane. I lost it on a plane, and it really killed my learning because I didn't have that familiarity. And then 15 years later, a friend of mine said, listen, the Daf Yomi is about to start a new masechta. They're doing ksuvas. Do you want to do it? So I said, you know what, it's ksuvas, sure, I'll do it. And what ended up happening is that the shiur really replaced that comfort that I got from that Gemara 15 years earlier. But my sweat and tears were in because I got that familiarity and that comfort from the shiur. Because that's really what the shiur provides. It's not just the Torah, it's the comfort, it's that familiarity, it's that warmth, it's that love, and keeps me going every day.
I told the story.
Thank you.
I didn't show it.
Not consistent.
Any diamond. Thank you so much. Any diamond.
What a story.
Okay, so anyway, he didn't learn for 15 years because he lost his Gemara. I never heard that. I heard a Rebbe beating you up, trauma, this, that. His trauma was he lost his Gemara. He lost his Gemara. He had comfort with that Gemara, with all the notes. And when we started Ksubas, that was the Masechta that he took it on. There's a man standing behind it. He already gave $25,000, and he heard this story, and he said, okay, I'm giving another $10,000. So I told him, afterwards, I said a Ness, and he heard this story. Did I say this story with this young 15-year-old also? Check out this story. I said this story? This story blew me. This is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. The first time he said it was better than what he did on video. He came over to me, he said it with his heart and everything. That guy that gave another 10,000 heard the story also. I said, you have a nace that you didn't hear the story. That would have cost you 40,000. Check out the story.
Introduce. Okay, listen. I have.
This is right after we made the millions. You've seen the background.
In many months. Mom is one of the best stories, and I want to introduce to you. What's your name? How old are you?
I'm now 17.
Say over the story. What did you just tell me?
When I was 15 and a half years old, I left my yeshiva, and I fell into a depression for about a half year. I was in bed, not doing anything. I didn't get out of bed, not put down, not put on film. It was a very deep depression. Once my father introduced me to the Daf with Refael Tzvi, I came out of the depression, started putting on film because I couldn't do the Daf without putting on film. And then I started learning. I got a job. I do every day the Daf, and even though I start getting, right now I'm starting to catch up to where I am after I do the Daf every single day. Right now I finished about 10 Masechtas with a very, really changed my life and saved me.
Unbelievable. Wait a minute, you didn't say the second part. Now, during construction,
when I work, I catch up to where I am after I did the first Daf.
so you start from brachas.
I did brachas, and I did brachas, Shabbos, and I'm doing Pesachim right now.
Unbelievable. 7 years old. Wow. So proud. What's your name again?
Do it a half.
Unbelievable.
Can I get a selfie?
Can I get a selfie? That was the last thing he said. You heard? Can I get a selfie?
He gets a spot.
Is unbelievable. No, he's learning the daf every day, but he's going back to brachas, and he already finished. A lot of people start from brachas and they get stuck in brachas. He did it. Brachas, Shabbos, Erevin. He's in the middle of Pesachim now, and Erevin, Pesachim, and he's at a construction. He does it on the job, and he's only 17 years old. It blew me away, this Maisa. All right. I think in Motzei. I don't know. He met me in Motzei. This is in Motzei. You look in the background, you can see it says 1.33. That's like literally right after the whole thing. Rabbi said, this is a very inspiring story as well, and you heard this 1,000 times, but it got me to think a little bit. This is last night by Peretz Chaim Levin's wedding. At the wedding, he puts up a sign-up station for the Gemaras. Now, I don't know what that does to Shalom Bayis. I know if I did that in my chasana, it would be all over. I gave a daf by my son's chasana. I don't think I'm going to give another daf by any other son's chasanas ever again. It's not easy. So people ask all the time. I thought about it. There are 3 people in MDY that I know of. There might be more. I know of 3 people that raised over $50,000 for this campaign. Jack Grazzi took me around to a bunch of wealthy individuals in Brooklyn. The other one is Motzei Belsky. Introduced me to some really great guys and over $58,000. This one really got me to think. Mark Ashkenazi really wanted me to see some doctors, my speech, my this. I was exhausted, the whole thing, and I went through a whole battery of tests. I still have to do a bunch of tests. Baruch Hashem, everything came out gewaldic. There's still concern because of my speech. I'll call upon him. I told Mark, I was being started, I said, listen, I don't have time. I came here for a purpose. He starts telling me this and begging me, and Avi Kamiansky is calling me, the whole thing. I said, okay, you know what? I'll do it on condition that you will raise $20,000. He ended up raising $51,000. And he told me today, he said, I only raised that because you put me on the spot. I was comfortable to raise, $4,000 or $5,000, whatever his page was. Once he started thinking about it, and he said, okay, I can introduce you this guy, that guy, this guy. And that's what happened. Went to one guy, and that guy, he's the guy that brought the $36,000 guy because he put his mind to it. So my point is, anybody can bring 1,400 people to the shir. The question is if you want to. If you want to, you could. How could Peretz Chaim? Because he wants to. He puts up a sign as his daughter's chassan. Could you? Yeah, if you want to put up a sign by your daughter's chassan, if you want to hurt your Shalom Bayis. Or if you want to make a fool out of yourself and stand in the middle of the street and ask people to come to the daf. Is it worth it for you? Does it mean something to you? Would you go over to somebody in the middle of the street and say, hey, do you need a mortgage? Because I sell mortgages. Some people do that because that's their business. His business is to get people to start learning the daf. So he got 1,400 people. If you care enough, you do it. If you care enough, you introduce Eli Stefansky to some guy that you know that could give $25,000 and it works. If you don't care, you don't care. And if you don't care, you'll be from those 14,000 people that watched the shir and didn't even give $1 to the campaign. Gewaldig. Some people care, some people don't. But the truth is, Mark Ashkenazi cares, but he had to be pushed. He had to be put into a position of, I told him that, I made a deal with him. So everybody think about it, and maybe starting from today, you guys will start pushing people to come to the daf and come out of your comfort zone because Klal Yisroel needs it. We got to bring more people to Torah. That's why we raise this money. Let's make this money work for the better to bring more people to Torah. Here's one thing I didn't read yesterday. I'm putting this charity page together because ever since Sunday morning, November 14th, 2021, he remembers the exact date. When I first typed Daf Yomi share into YouTube, and Eli Stefansky popped up with Tiniest Daf Beis, my life and the lives of many of my friends changed forever. Some of my friends who haven't picked up a Gemara or even opened up a Sefer in years have now finished 10 or more Masechtas since joining me on my MDY journey with Rebelli. The fact is, MDY changes lives, spreads Torah, and creates a rare environment of incredible achdus. It takes a lot of very well spent money to make it happen. No one should have any busha trying to spread more Torah in the world. I'm proud to say I'm directly responsible for at least 1 million of the most diverse group of Yidden starting Daf Yomi, maybe even more. And even if you don't give me a dime to this page, maybe even just exposure to it will get you thinking about starting the daf. And even better, if you join me, my friends, and 25,000 plus thousand other Yidden that have decided to change their lives for the better by doing the daf with the MDY Rebelli. Beautiful. I forgot what this is. Do you know who this is? Anybody remember who this is? All right, so this is an hour before, right now, like an hour ago. We're at 1,168,000. We're trying to get to 1.2. Be'ezer Hashem, it's going to happen before Shabbos. We got to make it happen. This Rabbi Isai is a 101-year-old. Wow. This is Yaakov Lak's father, who still does the daf with us. And Gage sent me this picture of him in the hospital. Beautiful picture with him tefillin, learning the daf. And he gave us $100. I told Yaakov, Chaval, it's not 101. Okay, if it's Sfardim, do 101. I don't know his first name. He's Lak. He's Mr. Rabbi Lak. It's unbelievable. And here's a very inspiring picture. Yesterday at the Monsey, the hub, where we were making phone calls, this tzaddik of a yid, who's immobilized in one of those wheelchairs, the motorized wheelchairs, came to make phone calls. Unbelievable. So this is, as of an hour ago, 5,900 donors, which is incredibly touching to me. 5,900 people. It's unbelievable if you think about it. Rabbi Isai, the Masechta sponsored by Anonymous, for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, we have 4 of them. Refuah, Shelaima, Alimlech ben Tzipora. Parnas HaChodesh, Refuah, Shelaima, Eli Zechrya ben Moshe, Eli Zechrya bas Yosef. A lot of people on Zoom. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom. And again, to all the people that took upon themselves pages, it was the first time that we did it. This is the first time I'm introduced to this, and for me, it was a lot of fun. I know a lot of people said it was like a game. It was addicting. Yosef, was it addicting to watch your page? And Yosef, you did a great job, Yishkoyach. I have to say Yishkoyach to Benny. I walked around with his letter. I don't want to cry, Barabim. I showed it to a few individuals that could understand Hebrew. It was unbelievable. He wrote a 3-page letter. Walked around in my pocket right there. Just took it out at home. The whole trip right here. Refuah Shelaima. Did I skip something? Yosef Ben Chaya Sara for all the zchusim that come from supporting limud Torah. Did I do Fraiman? Ahron Fraiman should be a zechus to rebel dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas Hayoim, Refuah Shelaima, Simcha Ahron Yoel ben Sarah Ita. A guy who was very instrumental in getting the whole Ner Tamid to do Baba Kama. MDY participant, prime facilitator of the Pride of Baltimore, Kilas Kodesh Ner Tamid, daily learning chat. It's about the Yoimi from his family of golden doves. Parnas Hayoim for that tzlacha. And by the way, that family of golden doves, as we were nearing the end, and we couldn't get the push. It was like 3 minutes before The clock struck 00. We didn't have the money. He stepped in and gave $18,000. Everybody knows who he is. The family of Golden Doves from Baltimore. Paras Hayoim for that tzlacha and honor of the Brit Milah for Refael Tzvi Ben Moshe. Paras Hayoim, brain intact, unleash your full potential. Should be zoich mata oseli. Benny, ta'orig oti. Should be zoich to nachas kedusha and tremendous success in all my endeavors. Paras Hayoim. Oisher va'oisher, Aleph and Ayin, Parnoson, Nachas, Lezivik Hogun, Moshe Ben Freda Leo, David Baruch Ben Etta. It's hard enough for me to read as is. I'm going to read now with this in my eyes. Ay, ay, ay. Arnold Montanaz is zchus for an easy childbirth, for his daughter, Yishkoyach. Like Kitzer. Like in the olden days. It's went half a year without crying. And now there's this zchus for an easy childbirth, his daughter and healthy baby. All right. Huh?
2 days.
What 2 days?
Without crying.
No, yesterday I was crying. It's an emotional thing. The Olam came together. I see this. I have a 3D vision of what's going to be. Be'ezer Hashem. Rabbi Yosef were holding on Amud Beis on the bottom. Rabbi Yosef, if we want, we go here to this chart right over here. You see this chart? Not that one. So we have a guy that's renting cows. He rents a cow for $1,000. The renter takes the cow in return because he has permission to do so, and he lends it to some guy. The guy that borrowed it had a mishap. The cow died on him. Since he's a borrower, he's fully responsible. So therefore, he's the shayel. He has to pay 100%. He has to pay $1,000 to who? To the soicher, to the renter. The soicher has to swear that it died, and he doesn't have to pay at all to the cow rental agency. Rabbi Yosef says that doesn't make any sense. You're making money, you're doing business with somebody else's cow. Therefore, the money goes to the cow rental agency. We've paskin like Rabbi Yosef. You also told us, what about this case, Rabbi Yosef? Oh, no. You paid for it, okay. So, the Mishnah Namafkid. First Mishnah. Just to remind the Oilam, in case you don't remember. He leaves a pikadon by a shomer. He says, please watch my goldfish. That what? That if this was stolen, and the shomer, the guy that opens the door. Here's a better one. You ready? This is a new one for today. Hey, can you please watch my money for a while? Simcha, Remanchel. Mashila, Gishmak to do the daf, the kitzer. He leaves the money. Shomer Gemach. So now it gets stolen. The shomer pays for the theft. He doesn't want to swear, he doesn't want to do anything, so he pays.
With a smile on his face.
Yeah, Tamid b'simcha, ma. Rabbi Nachman Amar shetzich liot b'simcha. Now, they find the Ganav. Who does the kefil go to? So the Mishnah says the kefil goes to Nachman. Nasan, Nachman, whatever you want to call him. Rabbi Yosef, who doesn't even appear in the Mishnah, is going to argue. He says, no, the 2 bags, the kefil, go to the owner. Anshel, that's his name. Anshel. Here we go. Even the first case. Now I need to know, is the halacha like Rabbi Yosef or not? Now I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this out there. I'm going to try to go through the whole thing. This has nothing to do with the sugya. I'm not a doctor. I flew from Eretz Yisrael to Miami. I was there for 24 hours. Party, this, that, meeting people after midnight, got home, 1, you know how it goes, up in the morning. Flew from there to Baltimore. Baltimore, I got a ride back to Brooklyn, 4 hours. The guy was not very familiar how to drive in America. So my head, I had whatever. I'm not going to, he's probably not watching now because he's busy in America now. I had such a headache when I got to Brooklyn. Boom, shiurim, 2 shiurim a day, the whole thing. From there, one day in Brooklyn, maybe one day, get up 4 a.m. to catch an early flight to Chicago for Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, 2 shiurim, start slurring in the middle of a shir. Still 4 or 5 a.m. for me when I gave the shiurim. So they say, I don't know how much I slurred. I didn't even look back at it. A lot of people said, so I'm going to trust them. I was tired. No, got to go take a check. But my brain is exploding. No. So checked it out. Chicago, back to Brooklyn to Lakewood, to Muncie, to this, to that. You know how it goes. No sleep, no food. Okay. I don't know. That's my excuse. Could be something worse. Halavai, yeah. What I'm saying is that right now, where am I right now? Right now, I'm coming off a flight that I barely slept in the middle of the night in America. The kitzer, it's not geschmack. We'll get some sleep. By Monday, we'll be okay. Halacha gemoise and halacha gemoise. So is the halacha like him? What? That's in a week. That's after Avi Kamiansky's wedding, at the dancing there all night. Then that morning, 4 a.m, we go to the Shkoyach. So he says, yes. Finds fascinating. I don't know if anybody speaks about this. Rabbi Yossi argues on this case that we saw here. I don't know, maybe Gersh can show it again. Rabbi Yossi argues in this case. And the halacha is like him. Guess what? It's not even in the Mishnah. His name is not even mentioned. The halacha is like him and he's not even mentioned. Here, we have another source. Rabbi Yossi argues even in the first one. And Rabbi Yossi says, no, the fact is that he paid, the shomer, the Nachman, the Nasan guy paid. So Rabbi Yossi is not going to argue over there because he paid and therefore he gets to keep the kefil. Says Gemara, just easy stuff. Shilam in, loy shilam loy. What? It's because he paid, and if he only wants to pay, it's not enough. Forget, we're talking about Rabbi Yochanan says. Rabbi Yochanan himself says, loy shilam shilam mamash, you don't have to pay. All you need is rotzen. You're right, you don't have to pay. It's enough that he wants to pay. Says the Heilige Mishnah sponsored by Moshe Cohen, schos gadol for hatzlach and ruchnius and in gashmius. Omer l'shnayim. He talks to 2 people and he says, Gozalti lechel mikem bon of any day, meiz mikem. I stole, I'm sorry, I don't know who I stole from. Oy over shalech mikem yivked limon of any day zo. One of your fathers gave me 100, I don't know who to return it to. Now, as we're going to see in the Gemara, he wants to be Yoitza Yidei Shamayim. He wants to do tshuva, so he gives each and every one the full amount. Where, if he didn't want to be Yoitza Yidei Shamayim, just halachically speaking, he wouldn't have to give each one a month. 2 people gave a pikadon. They said, watch this item. Here we go, Rabbi Isai, not this one, this. 2 people gave the guy money. One gave 100, one gave 200. He doesn't know who that person was. He doesn't remember. And each one claims afterwards, it was me that gave the 200. I want 200 back. Halacha is you give each one 100. And the third 100 stays in a box until Eliyahu Hanavi comes. The Balaturim says, do this with me, please. I didn't have time this morning to make a chart. But he says, Im loy yimotze haganav v'nikrav. You ready? Im starts with Aleph. Loy is Lamed. Yimotze is Yud. We have so far Eli. Haganav, Hey. V'nikra v'zvav. This is the Malaturim. Elio. When you have a problem like this, we're going to wait for Elio Hanavi. That's what he says. V'ashaya yimunach at Yoel Elio. Or Rabbi Yosim, okay, my ifsa the rabbi. So Rabbi Yosim is all over with this svar. He says, whoa. The guy could always lie, and worse comes to worse, he's going to get his 100 back, and the 100 that he wants to steal will go in a box. Boom, so here it goes. Oops. Let's do it again. Okay, the whole entire 300 has to go in a box. V'chein shnei kelim. I don't know. I know what you're thinking. V'chein shnei ksuvim. I got it. V'chein shnei kelim. Echad yofeh mod. Echad yofeh elef. You have a kli. One is worth 100. One is worth 1,000. Zoyme yofeh shali. Zoyme yofeh shali. They're both arguing. They both deposited, gave it to somebody to watch. But when it comes time to give it back, each one wants the better one. Noisin is a katan le'echad. Gadol noisin is a katan l'sheni. Says Rashi, you take the larger one, you chop it down, you break it in half, and give the other guy 100 worth. Yeah, you have like a nice silver becher. You take a saw, you cut it close to the bottom. You say, okay, here's 100 worth. Top garbage. Or what's the bad guy going to lose? If somebody's making trouble, let's penalize both of them. I know that one of them is getting dinged for no reason, but this is going to give the Ganav a good reason to do tshuva. Says the Gemara, the first case, when a guy says, I stole from one of you two, Alma, and what's the halacha? You should give to each one the full 100. Alma, you have a suffix, take it away from them. You don't say that way. Let the guy hold on to the 100, and when we have Eliyahu Novi, whoever it is, we'll figure it out. What about the second case? Two people gave the bank money. One gave 100, one gave 200. So what do we say? Each one gets 100. The third part that we don't know what to do with, how come by the Ganav we don't say Hashar Yemunach Elio? Omar Le Pekadana Gezekoromis, he asked me a question from somebody depositing 200 versus a Ganav. Gezel Davadi Surah Kansura Bonon. The Ganav, he's a bad guy. Back then he was bad. He did something wrong. So Chacham said, pay up. Pay everybody 100. But when it comes to me watching your money, I didn't do anything wrong. I just forgot the Kansura Bonon. Says the Gemara, we have a contradiction from the Pikadon, we have a contradiction from Gneva. Pikadon. What's the contradiction? The Ktani Reisha. That's a case of Pikadon, of me watching money. I don't know who to give the money to. You have to take out of your pocket, come out of pocket, you lose 100. All you receive to watch is 100, either from Reuben or either from Shimon. And now you have to pay 100 to Reuben's kids and 100 to Shimon's kids. The contradiction is, what about when two people deposited? This case that we see on the screen, 100 and 200, and we said, each one gets 100, but the money we don't know what to do with, that stays until the Eliyahu comes. How come in the Reisha you have to pay out of pocket, and how come in the Seifa you just say, okay, we'll wait until Eliyahu Hanavi Omarava Reisha Naskimish Kiduloi Bishni Krichois the Havelele Meidak, because the Reisha is like it came in two different bags, and you should have known. You're a bank, you're a guy that people trust. You should look inside the bag and see who gave what. Seifa Naskimish Kiduloi Bikrachechad. It's as if they gave the money together. Why? They both came at the door. They both knocked at the door at the same exact time. You came, you're knocking together. You don't care about it. So why should I care about it? Anakabdina. I'm going to be careful, you're not careful. Okay, so that's that. In other words, the Gemara is telling us there's a difference if the guy watching the money has to pay attention and figure out who gave what. Sometimes he does, sometimes not. If they come together, he doesn't have to. If they come individually, he has to know who gave what. If he approaches two people, he says, look, I stole from one of you and I don't know who. He gives each one a full 100. Meaning the question is, what about the famous case of this case? I don't see 5 people, whatever. Get the idea. You steal a bottle of whiskey from 5 people. Now you have no idea who you stole from. You want to do tshuva. Each one is claiming you stole from him. What? No. It's one from 5. He's behind. He's small. You don't see him. He's short. He's standing behind the thing. So what's that halacha in Yavamis? You take the bottle of whiskey, put it in the middle of a circle, let them fight it out. A bunch of drunks fighting out over this bottle of whiskey. Divir tarfine. Alma misfekel. Look, the ganav doesn't have to come out of pocket. It doesn't have to buy 5 bottles of whiskey. 1 is enough. And we say, that's it. It's enough. And how do you know that this is Reb Tarfon, our Mishnah? Why are you asking me contradiction from that Mishnah to this Mishnah? Or maybe this Mishnah is Reb Kiva who says that over there in Yavamis, in fact, Reb Kiva holds you have to buy 5 bottles of whiskey. You're not going to get away with 1 bottle of whiskey. So that fits into our Mishnah. Why are you asking me contradiction from Reb Tarfon? I'll tell you why. It says over there, Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon does agree. In our case, he agrees to our Mishnah. So our Mishnah is Reb Tarfon. Interesting. The case of our Mishnah, Reb Tarfon holds they have to give each and every one. In the case of the bottle of whiskey, you just put the whiskey down and run away. Hasam the Kotavile, because over there, each and every one, look, if you look at the picture, you see they want it. Each one wants it. They're demanding it. Hacha, over here, nobody demanded anything. He's notifying them, hey, I stole from you passively. Oh, he's notifying. He's doing tshuva. You want to be Yosi Deshamayim, that's a different case. Now you have to buy or pay each and every one a full mana. You see that he's trying to be Yosi Deshamayim. He's moida on his own. Omar Mar, Hosam the Ketavile. We just said by the bottle of whiskey, when he stole from 5 people, they're demanding payment. Okay, now the guy holding the bottle of whiskey, what is he doing exactly? He's denying it. He admits to them what? Rav Yehuda says no, he's quiet. Now we know throughout Shas, shtige koidah. Rav Yehuda Amar Rav haloi shoisek. Rav Amar haloi tzoiveya. So we have machlokes, is he screaming or is he being quiet? Man haloi tzoiveya shtige koidah. The reason why he holds that he's screaming, meaning, because if he's quiet and 5 people demand money and you are quiet, what is that saying? In essence, you're saying, they're right, I do owe them money. So you would owe them 5 bottles of whiskey. So therefore, he's denying it, he's screaming back, no. And according to Mandam, it says, he's quiet, over here, that's not considered like he's admitting. The reason why I'm quiet is because, I forgot, I'll just finish this. My EDD kicked in. I don't know. I can't. How could I yell back at somebody when I don't know what the Metzia is? I have 5 people. I stole a bottle of whiskey. I don't have a clue. And they're saying, you stole from me. So I'm going to say, no, I didn't steal from you. Maybe I did. Maybe he's right. So I'm not quiet because I admit. I'm quiet because I don't know. just a small haisafa to my drusha that nobody cares about, is that yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I don't know what day it was Wednesday night actually, so it's not really yesterday. It was Wednesday night in America. So we did this whole thing, phone calls, and it was over at 12 something. No, so I was giving this shir, I had to give a shir afterwards. We're exhausted and danced and excited, and then I gave a shir. Then we went to Ribben Tzareb at 2:30 in the morning. Then we got home at 3 something. And then I had a flight an hour and a half later. So kids, sir, I'm just saying, explaining why it took a toll on my body. If it's a good excuse for slurring, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. And here I am now. Sponsors. What sponsors? Oh, we do sponsors. Kinnovations. Our boys say kinnovations. Big part of the shir, this guy gave nicely to the
Kid innovations, right? Not
kid. What did I say?
You've been saying kinnovations. You drop
No,
it,
you don't drop. You do it. Kid innovations. Kid innovations. Well, you chat is kid innovations. Kid innovations.
I didn't know until I saw it on the...
You're from Manchester. You don't count. Kid innovations. The LLC part we could drop. That we do drop. In all countries we drop the LLC part. Prime Quest LLC. Weiter. Zog die Gemara. He drops the bottle of whiskey and he runs. Each one is going to grab it. You can't grab. It is something like our case where he puts it down there and it's a suffix what you do. You're from Yid. Yes, somebody stole. You think he stole the bottle of whiskey from you, but he might have stolen from other. You shouldn't be taking it. Okay, if you took it, don't give it back. So what's going on here? What are they supposed to do, these 5 guys? Omer of Safra v'yaniach, you put him in Bezdin. That's what you don't put him in the middle of the street like this picture. You put him in Bezdin, let Bezdin figure out. Omer le'abayla rova. Mi'omer Rebbe Kiva lo yizu aderech moitzi yosim v'le'aveira at shisham gzeli kol chav echad. Rebbe Kiva holds they have to buy a bottle of whiskey for each and every one if you want to be yotzei. Alma misveikim afkinu ma'mayna. So you see that he holds that when you have a suffix, I do take money out of somebody. This guy is a big suffix here. He certainly doesn't owe 5 bottles of whiskey. He owes 1. But because we have a suffix, we're going to take it out of him. Why don't we just say, according to Rebbe Kiva, we have a chazaka. You can't take money out of a guy that has a chazaka on his money. He has a chazaka on the other bottles of wine. 1 bottle he has to give, not 5. However, we have a problem. Givaldic story, it's not so Givaldic. Viramini, Novel Beis, Olav Alimot. Unfortunately, 2 people died in a house collapse. The question is, who died first? And it's a very big question because depending on who died first, somebody else is going to get a big inheritance. We're talking about a fraction of a minute, right? First, the mother died. So the son that was in the house inherited his mother for half a minute. When he died, he gives over an inheritance, his inheritance plus his mother's inheritance, a double inheritance over here perhaps. So the Yarshim of the son say he has some child somewhere. He says, my father inherited his mother before he died, I want it all. The Yarshim Ben Meis Rishon, and those Yarshim of the mother say it's not true, the son died first. He never inherited his mother. We inherit the mother. Now, the fact is, nobody can know what happened. Nobody knows. There's no video camera in there. We don't know. We found 2 bodies. Now what? Because there's nothing you can do. There's nobody's ever going to come out on top of this. Okay? Says Rabbi Kiva, we have a chazaka wherever the money of the mother stays in her rishus, the money of the son stays in his rishus, chazaka. L'maisa, we just said that according to Rabbi Kiva, you don't say the money is in the chazaka. You say each person gets a bottle of whiskey. The chazaka is the ganav that has 1 bottle of whiskey, he has the chazaka. And no, the chazaka doesn't help him. He has to pay a bottle of whiskey for each and every one. Shalom Aleichem Tzadik, what's your name?
Excuse me, John Dinora.
John Dinora from Tineg. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome. Over there, when the house fell down, Everybody has no clue. No one has a clue. Nobody could claim he knows better who died first. Right? It just, I passed by there. It's unbelievable that it happened in our generation, that a whole building collapsed in the seaside. And there's from people in the building, Surfside. Somebody could claim that he knows that from guy was nifter before the other from guy on the first floor, the second floor. They died, finished. I mean, it took days to pull out the bodies. And we don't know. We Pasha don't know. It's a Shem and a Shema. However, by the case of the whiskey, the Ganav has no clue, you're right. But the owner of the whiskey knows. Everybody knows when they steal his whiskey. Says Gemara, but what about in our case? He notifies the other guy, he stole from you 100, he had no clue. The Ganav is a Shema, he doesn't know. He's a suffix. The guy that was robbed doesn't know either. Yet he has to come out of pocket. That means we disregard the chazakas morakam, and the chazakas, what is it called? Cheskas more. And how do you know that this is a Rebbe Kiva? That you have a kasha, a contradiction. When it says over there when he stole from 5 people about whiskey, that he gives each and every one. Lemam moida. He says moida. Who's Rebbe Kiva moida to? Obviously, I'm sorry, Rebbe Tarfon. Yeah, the Rebbe Kiva bar Plukte. Obviously, Rebbe Tarfon is moida Rebbe Tarfon. Who is Rebbe Tarfon moida? To his counterpart, to Rebbe Kiva. The Rebbe Kiva bar Plukte. And Rebbe Kiva admits they have to pay each and every one. Says Gemara, how do you know it's a case of 2 people that don't know what's going on? You could say that when I admit to you that I stole from you, maybe you know that I stole from you. No, because it doesn't talk about a case that you sued. I'm notifying you. I'm letting you know. It's lost, what is it called? Lost property. I'm letting you know that 20 years ago I stole from you. Right? And Reb Chia, who wrote the Brises, he's explaining the Mishnah as they both don't know. No one, the Ganav doesn't know, and the one that was stolen from doesn't know. Says the Gemara, don't forget, because we're talking about a case where he wants to go above and beyond. Let's continue. I want to remind the Olam. Sometimes the Olam forgets. I got to remind the whole Olam. This building was built for one purpose, for Daf Yomi. It happens to be that they're minyanim before and after. It's not like there's a minyan and they're doing us a favor and we're doing the daf. This is Merkaz Daf Yomi. To help the people that learn the daf, we have a minyan after. So daf comes first, from beginning to end. And if daf finishes at 9:35, it finishes at 9:35, then the minyan is going to have to go somewhere else. Daf always comes first. And Reb Chaim Kanievsky told me that. He said, the daf comes first, you finish. I asked him in Furish, should we stop? He said, no. You finish the daf, and then you daven Shachris. I have it on video, everyone wants to see. But I don't need Reb Chaim Kanievsky. That's why we built it. We built it for that. It just happens to have minyanim. Rava said that if he receives money in 2 different bundles, he should know how much is in each one. But why is this any different than me giving over a sheep? To a shepherd, I give a sheep, I give 1, you give 2. How come over there he doesn't have to know who gave what? He takes the 3rd one, he doesn't know who gave the 3rd, he puts it in between the 2 and he runs. That's because it's talking about that he had no idea. They just dropped it off like you drop off your kid in a gun and you just run. So they drop off the kid, the sheep. But over here by the money, he should have taken good notice who's what. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day. A good in Shabbos. What time is Motzei Shabbos? 2 hours after Shabbos something. When is it? 7:45 is Motzei Shabbos? 9:30, Rabbi Isai. And then Hebrews at 10:30? Wow.